Before the break, we were talking to the former director of the Israeli Internal Security Service, Admiral Ami Ayalon. Thank you again, sir, for being with me today. Now, the Israeli parliament is now debating a controversial bill that will allow implementing the death penalty for terrorists. Yep. The Shin Bet has historically been against that. Can you explain that position?
Yes. First of all, not historically. As I understand today, the Shin Bet did not change his mind, and he's totally against it. There are at least 3 reasons why usually the Shin Bet is against it. You cannot deter a person who is ready to die, and in a way he is using his actions, his terror actions, knowing that he is going to die by a death penalty. So the whole deterrence aspect of this legislation doesn't work. Second, the analysis that was presented by the Shin Bet, they predict that it might create a wave of kidnapping, not only in Israel, by the way, in Jewish communities worldwide, as a response. And third, which is not very, very pragmatic, but the moral aspect. In Israel, we have to face, when we decide on a death penalty to a terrorist, we decide on a death penalty to an Arab terrorist. We are not going to do it. We are not going to use the death penalty against Jewish terrorists. We didn't. We can see the way we are using. We are destroying houses. We never destroyed a house of a Jewish terrorist, not in the case of the people who burned or killed the whole Dawabshe family, or not in the case in Jerusalem when the Jewish terrorists killed and burned Abu Hadir.
Well, the military can request the death penalty in the territories, but they're not doing that. So what will this bill actually change?
Practically, no one knows. And this is part of the tragedy. The feeling is that everything is becoming a political game. So in order to gain some votes in the new elections or the future elections, people are using all these laws, and practically, I don't believe that we shall see a death penalty in Israel.
Now, I want to bring the conversation to the issue of Jerusalem, which has been very prominent in the world and in the media. Now, there have been several reports quoting off-record statements of officials in Egypt and Saudi Arabia regarding Jerusalem, saying they seem to agree with Donald Trump behind the scenes, but in public they're giving a different perspective. Why do you think that is?
Look, what we see in the Middle East, we saw it for, I don't know, for the last 30 years, but especially after 2011, what we call the Arab Spring that became very soon a winter, the street gained a huge political power. So all the governments or kings or presidents became weaker. So on one hand, behind the scene, they can say something to the American president or to anybody. They cannot make it public because the Arab street in Cairo, in Riyadh, or in Amman will be against it. So their political power is limited. I don't think that they can lead this kind of policy, which means they can force the Palestinians to accept something which is beyond the Palestinian red lines, or which is beyond the framework of the Arab League decision.
Well, how important is the Palestinian issue to regional stability in general?
It is a huge paradox. On one hand, it is not important. I mean, when you compare it to the Shia-Sunni conflict, or to radicalism, or with even when you compare it to the chaos in Syria, or to the general picture in the Middle East. On the other hand, if you will ask not the leaders, they are relatively pragmatic. If you will ask the people in the street, in all the capitals. They will tell you this will be the precondition. In a way, it is a litmus test of the American leadership in the region. If they can bring Israel to the negotiation table. The Arab street believe that this is, in a way, the common denominator. So if you want to create some pragmatic axis that will face Iranian influence, terror, radicalism, led by Europe, America, it became a precondition. It is not the major issue, but it became a precondition in order to create this kind of coalition.
And how important is Hamas-Fatah reconciliation to that same regional stability?
It is a stage. Hamas-Fatah reconciliation, it's a paper. The question whether we shall see it happening depend on many other factors, but in a way it depends on the possibilities for the peace process, which today are very low.
Now, I know you're very active in an organization called Commanders for Israel's Security. Right. Tell me a little bit about what that is about.
It's an organization, today I believe that about 300 generals, former generals, including some admirals, like myself.
Like yourself.
Yes, that believe that we have to change our policy. Not only in order to create or to see or to achieve agreement with the Palestinians. Our language, our lexicon is in words of defense and security.
Tell me about what you've been working on for the last year specifically.
We called it a plan that we called it Security First, which means that in order to create or to go forward to see a reality of two states, we don't need the approval of the Palestinians, and in a way we shall see Israel safer. And we can do it. We can do it, and we present a plan. What can we do independently, which in a way is based on the assumption we have to separate between the concept of settlements and the concept of security. IDF will maintain its positions. We have to secure settlers that will stay until we shall have some agreement or negotiations.
Admiral Ami Ayalon, thank you so much for your time and coming today. It was a real pleasure having you.